Gentlemen, it's been a privilege flying with you.
Number 2. The spin of the Earth has never been proven. Never. The spin of the Earth has never been proven. In fact, many tests have shown the opposite to be true.
Oh, how could this day get any worse?
The Michelson-Morley experiment was set up to prove that heliocentricity was true. In fact, these tests proved, much to the dismay of Michelson, that the Earth did not move and was stationary. In 1729, James Bradley proved that the ether is not carried along with the Earth. In 1913, Sagnac proved that there was an ether, which destroys relativity, which says that there is no ether. In 1925, Michelson-Gale proved that the ether passed over the Earth every 24 hours. And in 1871, Airy's failure proved that the stars move, not the Earth, which allowed in 1887 the Michelson-Morley interferometer experiment to prove without a doubt that the Earth does not move.
Before I discuss these 150-year-old experiments, I want to make a couple humorous points. 1. Jeranism is pulling a rather sly bait and switch by complaining about the spin of the Earth and then talking exclusively about the aether. B. No explanation to any of these experiments is given, just a name drop and moving on. And thirdly, someone who does not believe in space is hitching his wagon to a theory to explain how light could travel through space.
That's not how any of this works.
Let's start by looking at these experiments in chronological order.
You just blew my mind.
In 1729, James Bradley proved that the ether is not carried along with the Earth.
Shame Jeranism wasn't there to explain to James Bradley the real reason for his experiment. Bradley,
you disrespectful, stupid idiot,
was actually searching for stellar parallax and the aberration of light. His findings went on to muddle the already confusing theories of the luminiferous aether as a medium for light to travel through. What Bradley's measurements did show, however, is the importance of the speed of the Earth in measurements of aberration.
Keep firing, assholes!
In 1871, Airy's failure proved that the stars move, not the Earth.
Airy's failure, as it has come to be known, was not an experiment about star motion, but rather an experiment on the theory of aether drag. The results indicated that there was no aether drag, and was yet another nail in the luminiferous aether coffin. Modern geocentrists have attempted to argue Airy's observations point toward star motion on a stationary Earth. However, this argument asks much more than it answers.
Keep firing, assholes!
The Michelson-Morley experiment was set up to prove that heliocentricity was true.
The Michelson-Morley experiment was set up to test the existence of the luminiferous aether and the Earth's motion through it. The test's negative result further buried the aether theory and helped propel the conception of special relativity. The experiment has nothing to do with the motion of the Earth. If this was an experiment regarding the Earth's motion, then the aether would have to have existed and be stationary, and this contradicts with previous experiments regarding the aether. It's almost as though the whole concept of the aether is flawed.
There he is, beating that dead horse!
Keep firing, assholes!
In 1913, Sagnac proved that there was an ether.
Sagnac's experiment was designed to show evidence for the aether and disprove special relativity. The idea was to show how light is affected if it is rotated within the aether. Sadly for Sagnac and the aether theory, special relativity theorized what would come to be known as the Sagnac effect before Sagnac even could do his experiment. The experiment did not disprove special relativity, only bolster it. The Sagnac effect is used in modern-day ring laser gyroscopes, and in fact can be used to prove the rotation of the Earth. Jeranism used a proof of Earth's rotation in his list of experiments that disprove the Earth's rotation.
I'm sad that I lack the talent to make this shit up.
Keep firing, assholes!
Michelson-Gale proved that the ether passed over the Earth every 24 hours.
The Michelson-Gale experiment was in essence a big-ass version of the Michelson-Morley experiment. It was set up to measure the angular velocity of the Earth. I have no clue where Jeranism gets his
that the ether passed over the Earth every 24 hours
nonsense from. That was neither the purpose of the experiment nor a proposed result. Also,
the Michelson
and
Michelson
are the same person, so you should probably pronounce his last name correctly each time you say it.
Did you learn about these experiments in school? Of course not. In fact, there is no experiment that has ever proved that the Earth moves, and many more that prove the opposite.
Jeranism follows up a bunch of 19th century science with a minecart full of quote mining. So instead of listening to that, let's watch a Foucault pendulum rotate around with the rotation of the Earth.
Here we go.
So, they have made the Earth spin and orbit the Sun, not through the scientific method, but through their ideology and desire to keep the Earth and its importance minimized as possible.
Oops. Deleted.
And lastly, number 1, 'tis the season to be folly. The seasons, as explained by heliocentrists, are extremely flawed.
Oh no!
If our seasons do in fact come from the tilt of the Earth as we orbit the Sun, then there's quite a few things we'd expect to see that we don't. First, during the southern summer, it is the rays hitting the north at a greater angle, and the south getting more sun, hence it is their summer. But why then is there a frozen continent at the bottom of the globe, while in the north there's nothing but a pool of water? Because during the northern summer, the same thing but opposite happens. The north is getting the greater sun, as the south is getting the higher angled sun. Why then do we have this pool of water and no North Pole ice cap?
There is an ice cap at the North Pole, and it's shrinking due to climate change. Is Jeranism confused why there's no land at the North Pole? Does he think the sun makes land appear?
That the Earth is actually closer to the sun during the southern summer. Yes, that's right, if you live in the north, during your winter, the sun is closer to the Earth. By how much? By 375 Earth diameters.
Surprise, motherfucker!
So we should see signs that the south is slightly warmer than the north. Well, do we see any signs of this 375 Earth diameter difference? The south has a frozen continent. The north does not. The north has 14 of the hottest 15 temperatures of all time.
The simplest answer is the ratio of land to water differs between the hemispheres. There are more complex variables involved as well, such as mountain ranges and greenhouse effects. But that is apparently far above Jeranism's head. We'll keep it basic for now.
Lastly, let's take a look at the difference between 70 degrees north and 70 degrees south. Virtually, they should be close to identical. If anything, the south should be slightly warmer and more nurturing for life. We should see comparable temperatures, seasonal changes, length of day, plant and animal life.
Why should we expect the Earth to be uniform when it is not? The Earth's proximity to the Sun is not the only factor when examining its biomes, flora, and fauna. I'm going to need you to justify that statement, Jeranism.
That's not gonna happen, Rick!
And the fact that there is so different of a selection of animals and plants tells us the globe model has major faults.
It's still real to me, damn it!
As far north as you can go, you'll find birds, reindeers, squirrels, rabbits, insects, and all decorated with plants, shrubs, flowers, and more. Within 70 degrees south, no plant, insect, or bird is found.
Yeah, Jeranism is lying here. Antarctica has a small, yet robust collection of native plants and animals. I wonder why you would lie like that.
At 49 degrees south, only 18 species of plant exist. If you go to 65 degrees north, which is 16 degrees further from the equator north, you can find Iceland, which alone has 870 species of plant.
I feel bad for Jeranism. If his schooling was half as bad as this video makes it out to be, I'm almost not surprised he thinks the world is flat.